So guys, I just finished my makeup and I asked Chris if he could tell the difference on which side was the drugstore and which side was high-end. He looks really closely at my face and he's examining it and he's looking, he said, not understanding what I had asked him to do. One of your eyebrows is thicker. I mean, he's right, one of my eyebrows is slightly thicker, but aren't they supposed to be like sisters, not twins? It's fine. And he couldn't tell the difference, so that's what really counts. Hello everyone, I'm here today to share with you guys a video that I have never done before, but I've always wanted to sit down and film one of these videos, and it is a full face tutorial, half using all drugstore and half using high-end products. And I'm very excited about this one. Can you guys tell the difference? Do you know which side is the high-end side and which side is the drugstore side? Make your guess. We'll just sit there, figure it out. Okay, now I'm gonna tell you. So this side of my face is using all high-end luxury products, and this side is some great drugstore and just budget-friendly dupes. This is a very similar look to one that I wore in a video a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was a month ago, I don't remember. And I got a lot of requests from you guys to do a tutorial, so I'm sitting down today to do that for you guys. And without further ado, let's get into this. All right, so we're gonna start with primers, and we're going to be comparing the Magic Lumi by L'Oreal against the BECCA Backlight Primer, which is one of my favorite primers. I love this if you want that nice illuminating glow to the skin. You can see them swatch in my hand, like there really isn't a big difference. This one right here is the L'Oreal one, and this one is the BECCA Backlight. It is gonna take a lot for me to remember not to put this all over my face, but keep it to just half. Now on to foundation, and I'm going to be comparing the L'Oreal Pro Glow Foundation, which is one of my favorite drugstore foundations. I love this one, against the NARS All Day Luminous Weightless Foundation. Now, the biggest thing about foundations is not only the consistency and what they end up looking like on the skin, how glowy they are, mattifying, how much coverage there is, that kind of thing, but also the color. Every single foundation line has a different range of colors, and also it's really hard to find something that is comparative on that level. So we're gonna see how this goes. Actually, I have a couple of these ones depending on how much self-tanner I have on my face, so I'm gonna get them and then I can like make a concoction. Okay, we got this. All right, so we're gonna do this side of the Beauty Blender for this side of the face, and then we're gonna switch it over for the other side. If we're gonna be really nitpicky in terms of the consistency of the two of them, I would say that the primary difference is that the NARS one is a little bit more watery in terms of texture. So if you like that kind of a formula, then you'll really love the NARS one. But both are pretty similar in terms of how they end up sitting on the face, I find anyway. So that's always good. Not bad in terms of a match. I'd say this one's maybe a little bit more yellowy, but you know what? We're gonna go with it. We're gonna go with it. It's just a little bit. Not a lot. Next up, we're gonna do a little bit of color correcting, and especially under the eyes, because I got some dark circles we're working with today. We are going to be using the Essence Say No to Dark Circles on the drugstore side, and on the high-end side, we're gonna be using the Naked Skin Color Correcting Fluid by Urban Decay, and this is in pink. These are very different in terms of how they apply to the face and the overall texture. So this one is in like a pencil crayon kind of a form, and this one is obviously liquidy. But I find at the end of the day, when you put them on and you let them sit, they're both gonna end up looking pretty similar, and they're both gonna do the same job. All right, let's cover up those under eye circles. Yes, get rid of them. And I find the pinky tones to be really nice if you have lighter skin tone, because it's a little bit brightening too. But see what I mean? They both look basically the same on the face, so. Awesome dude. Now on to concealer, and we are going to be using the NYX Got You Covered concealer on the drugstore side and the Cover FX Cream Concealer on the high-end side. These are similar in terms of how they are applied to the face. They are both thick in consistency, so if you do not like that kind of sitting under the eyes, I don't recommend either of these, but I find them to be really good, really high coverage, super pigmented, and I love them both. So that's what they look like on the hand. You can see they are both very thick, as they are not currently sliding down my arm. And I'm gonna use my Beauty Blender again to blend them out under the eyes, and I'm going to use the Olay Regenerist facial oil. We're gonna put a couple little drops on two different sides of the Beauty Blender, and that's just going to make it a little bit easier to blend out. Now on to powder, and these are two translucent powders, so I'm not really sure how much we're actually going to be comparing, but you know. This is the NYX HD Studio Finishing Powder, which is 100% pure mineral powder, and then we're comparing that to the Tarte Smooth Operator Micronized Clay Finishing Powder. And also just letting you guys know, if I'm using one brush for both sides, I'm using the Sephora Color Switch just to wipe off any of the excess powder so that I'm not transferring any color from one eye to the other. We're gonna start by just lightly dusting all over the face. I'm also gonna go in and bake underneath the eye. Whoa, so much powder. And then Dust it off and on to the next. Set it all up. Now while the powder is setting, we are going to go on to the eyebrows, and on one side we're going to be using the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer, and this is in blonde, and comparing it to the Benefit Cosmetics Precisely My Brow pencil. Both very, very similar because they both have a very fine tip pencil. You can see, very, very similar, and the color is very similar as well. Now I will say, after cleaning up my brows, it is a lot easier using the Benefit Cosmetics one over the L'Oreal one, just because the Benefit Cosmetics one is just a little bit creamier. It's a little bit easier to use, but both kind of give you the same look in the end. We gotta dust this off now. Don't get in my contacts, don't get in my contacts. All right, now on to bronzer, and I'm going to be using the Rimmel Natural Bronzer on the drugstore side and the Urban Decay Beached Bronzer on the other side. Both are very similar in tone. They're both warm toned, they're both matte, and they are both bronzers, so that's a win. So I'm just gonna dust a little bit onto the temples and around the outside of the face a little bit. Just warm it up a bit. The Urban Decay one is a lot more pigmented than the Rimmel one, so if you have pale skin, I'd probably go for the Rimmel one, just because it is a lot easier to blend out. So you have to be very, very light-handed with the Urban Decay one, but both are really, really nice. For blushes, on the drugstore side, I'm gonna use one of my absolute favorites. It's by CoverGirl, and it's their TruBlend blush, and this is in medium rose. And then on the high-end side, we're gonna be using this Marc Jacobs one. This is their, this is one of their new air blush ones, and this is in the color Night Fever and Hot Stuff. But they both have sort of that mauve-y tone to it, which is really, really pretty, and they have a bit of a shimmer to them. This one, it's built right in because it's baked, and then this one, it has like shimmer, almost strips in it. It's really, really pretty. This one is obviously, again, very, very pigmented, but both are very pretty on the cheeks when you blend them out. Now we're gonna do a little bit of finishing powder, because why not? And we are going to be using the e.l.f. Illuminating Palette and the Hourglass Ambient Light Palette. You can see some of the tones are very, very similar. Obviously, this has one more shade than this one does. You can see even the neutral shade and sort of the pinky shade is very, very similar. So we're gonna be using those two today to kind of complete the face look, except for highlight. Highlight is always last. Oh, so excited. All right, now it's my favorite time. We're doing the highlights, and we're going to be using the L'Oreal True Match Lumi highlight and the Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kit. This is the Gleam Glow Kit and the shade Crushed Pearl. These two shades are so ridiculously similar. I would say the only difference is that the Anastasia Beverly Hills one is a little bit more of a shell pink tone, but other than that, they're super, super similar, and I love them both. And as has been the difference between most of the brands that I've used so far, it's all about how much you use. So you can really load up the brush with the L'Oreal Lumi powder if you want a really strong highlight. But with the Anastasia one, you have to be a little bit more light-handed, just to, well, at least in my case, to make them even. For eyeshadow today, we are going to be comparing the CoverGirl True Naked palette. This is the Roses palette versus the classic Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. And I'm going to be using these two matte shades right here, as well as this darkest shade down here, because they are very, very similar to some of the shades in the Urban Decay palette in Limit, Nooner, and Black Heart. So we're going to start on the drugstore side of the face, and we're going to dip it into this CoverGirl shade right here, and we're going to blend that into the crease. And then we're going to wipe it off, and we're going to go in with Limit on the other eye. Then I'm going to take a smaller crease brush, and I'm going to dip it into the darker matte shade in the CoverGirl palette, as well as Nooner in the Urban Decay palette. And we're going to use these shades to just deepen up the crease a little bit. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with a smaller brush under the eyes, using the lighter shade all underneath the lash line, and then using the darker shade just more to smoke out the outer edge of it. All right, so now on to the winged liner, and I do things a little bit out of order for myself. I start by curling my lashes first, and the reason for that is when I have my eyes open, I can see sort of where the line of the curled lash goes, so I sort of follow in line with that, and it just helps me to make sure that the line is even on both sides. I don't know if that makes any sense, but hopefully it does. Now for the liners, I'm going to be using two potted liners. One is by Maybelline, this is their Eye Studio one, and I'm comparing it to the Tarte Amazonian Clay waterproof one. They're both very black, they're both super, super pigmented. I love both of them, and I think that if you're looking for something a little bit cheaper, this is a great option. And this one's going to be a little bit trickier because I really like this brush, so I am going to literally go and wash it in between uses because I am committed to keeping it just down the middle. We're not transferring colors here. All right, so all I do for this is I like to see exactly where to line it up, put it down, and make a line, like so. Damp cloth here, we're gonna wipe it off, because I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other side, make sure it's even before I finish up the line. All right, those lines seem pretty even, so once you've evened it out, then I'm just gonna go in and kind of connect the dots and make it a beautiful winged line. Now onto mascara, and for the drugstore side, we're gonna go in with a classic favorite of mine. I've been using this 4 years and it's one of my favorites. I actually just picked up a fresh new one. That's the L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black Mascara. And we're gonna be comparing it to the Dior Blackout Mascara, which is a super dark, rich, black mascara. I would say upon one coat, they're not very similar to me if I'm gonna be very, very nitpicky about it. Right now you can see that my lashes are much more curled with this one versus with the L'Oreal one. My lashes are starting to fall a little bit. And then I would say in terms of application, the Dior one is much clumpier, like you're gonna get more volume in your lashes versus the L'Oreal one. So I think they're very different. I don't think they're the same at all, but we're gonna try and make them look as even as possible. So I'm gonna add another coat of the L'Oreal one just to see if that makes a difference at all. So before I go on to lipstick, I'm just gonna add a pop of shimmer to the lids. Because I'm gonna be doing a matte lip, I want something that's a little bit sparkly on the lids. So I'm gonna be going in on the CoverGirl side and adding this really pretty mauve-y tone. And then on the Urban Decay side, I'm gonna be adding the color Dust. I have to say I so prefer the CoverGirl light shades to the Urban Decay. I find these to just be so ridiculously sparkly and they just leave fallout under the eyes, just awful. But this one's super creamy and pigmented. So much better in my opinion. All right, so now on to the lips, and this is one of my favorites as of late, and I've used it in a ton of videos and you guys have been asking about it, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful shade for fall. And it's the Too Faced Melted Mattes in the color Queen Bee, this beautiful mauve-y tone. Oh, so gorgeous. And I was swatching forever trying to find something similar within my collection from the drugstore, and I cannot find anything similar. So this is the only product that is not drugstore, but it's still super budget friendly. And it is by ColourPop, and it is in the shade Dopey. So when I swatched these on my hand, they looked pretty similar. I wouldn't say they're exact, but they're very, very close. So we're gonna try it on the lips and see how close they get. It feels really weird to only put lipstick on one half of my lip. Not gonna lie to you. All right, let's test this out. And here's the final look, and to be honest, I can't really tell a huge difference between the high-end side and the drugstore side, so I'm pretty happy about that. I really, really like this look, and I love doing this video. It's a lot of fun, so if you have any beauty dupes that you want me to test out for future videos, leave them in the comment section below, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up so I know that you guys wanna see more of these types of videos, and subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. And that's everything for this video. I hope you guys are having an amazing, amazing week so far, and I'll see you guys all in my next video. Love you girls. Mwah.